I've tried to create a problem here that's similar to number 12 from assignment 5.1, just because seemed to be a lot of confusion on number 12, and I wanted to try to clear some things up. So I made up this chart, totally just made these numbers up. Just pretend there's 1,000 people we surveyed. We made sure there was 500 Democrats, 500 Republicans, and we broke them up into which race they were. All right, so the first question one here was, what's the probability that we would randomly select a Hispanic person if we just selected one person out of the 1,000? And so you can see there's a total of 195 Hispanics in our group. So the probability would be 195 out of 1,000, or 0.195, which as a percentage then would be, our chances are 19.5%. That's our chances that we get a Hispanic if we randomly select a person. What would be the probability that we select a Democrat if we just randomly selected one person? Well, there's 500 total Democrats out of the 1,000 people. So we'd get 0.5 or 50% if you wanted a percentage. Sorry, paint's a little hard to write neat in. I'm doing my best here. Number 3 here, an and. So if we randomly selected one person, what's the probability that they are Hispanic and Democrat? They're both of those. Well, let's go up to our chart. Hispanic and Democrat, right here, it says there's 106 people that are both Hispanic and Democrat. So that's 106 out of the 1,000. So that's our probability that we would randomly select someone who is both Hispanic and Democrat. So 0.106 or 10.6% if you wanted it as a percentage. All right. What is the probability that you selected someone here in number 4 that's a Republican or they're white? Well, what's the chances you get a Republican? There's 500 Republicans. So your chances there is 500 out of 1,000. And then what's the chances we get someone who's white? There's 805 white people total out of 1,000. Now, what happens if we just add those two together? We get something that doesn't make sense. 1,305 out of 1,000. That's more than 1. And remember, probability has to be between 0 and 1. The reason is, with these OR probabilities, we have to always make sure we subtract what they have in common. So in this case, we'd be subtracting people who are both Republicans and white, because they would have got counted here as Republican and here as white. Looking at our chart, there's 411 people who are both Republican and white. So we need to subtract those 411. And that leaves us with 894. So if you randomly selected someone out of this group, the chances that they were either a Republican or they were white, or they could be both, but they had one of these two qualities, is 894 out of 1,000, 89.4%. So pretty good chances that they're one of those two. All right, and now for this conditional probability. Let's make sure we know how to read this. This is saying, what's the probability we select a Republican if we're given that they're white? We already know that we're only looking at white people. That's what after the bar means. You already know that this is what you're looking at. This is all you're considering. So to look at our chart, we're only looking at this column with the numbers for the white people. So we're only looking at 805 people. We're totally ignoring the Hispanics for this question because we know they are white. So what are the chances we get a Republican? Well, there's 411 Republicans out of the total 805 who are white. So see what we do here after the vertical bar here, that tells you what column you're looking at. We're only looking at the column that has the information for white people. And how many Republicans are there out of the total? 411 out of 805. That comes out to approximately 0.51, or if you want a percentage, 51%. So what we're saying here is, what's the chances we randomly select a Republican? If we're given that we're only looking at the white people, it's 51% chance. What are the chances that we select a Republican if we're only looking at the Hispanic people, if we know that it's only the Hispanics we're considering? So here you look at the Hispanic column only. There's 89 Republicans and 195 total Hispanics that we'd be considering. So again, this part after the vertical bar told us we're only considering Hispanics. That's what we're given. That's what we know. There has to be a Hispanic. There's 195 of them. Our chances of randomly selecting a Republican would be 89 out of the 195. And that equals 0.45 approximately, or 45%. All right, and one last one to wrap up here. What's the probability that you select a Hispanic if you're given that you're only looking at the Democrats? You know the person you select has to be a Democrat. It's like we threw all the Republicans out of the room. We're only looking at Democrats. What's the chances we pick a Hispanic one? Well, how many Democrats are there? There's 500 total. There's 106 Hispanics. So if we're only looking at those Democrats, there's 106 chance, or 106 of them out of the 500. So our chances are 106 out of 500, which is 0.212, or 21.2%. So again, this part after the vertical bar, Democrat, told us we're only looking at the Democrat row here. That's all we care about. The Republicans got booted out of the room. What are our chances we select a Hispanic? We're given that it's got to be from the Democrats, because that's all we're looking at for this problem. I hope that helped you understand how to do number 12 a little better, and conditional probabilities, the ands, the ors, all this that I went over. If you have any questions, please send them my way and I'll do my best to answer them.